Hello, and in this text, I'm going to show you how after you've released compound paths and used the Pathfinder, you can then manipulate your individual letters for a smoother flow on your path. So I'm going to start with my C right here, and let's zoom in a little so you can see. And actually, I think what I want to do is I'm going to take all my letters and I'm actually going to fill them with a color other than black. And I'm going to go back to that magenta so that I can really kind of see what I'm doing. And then I can change it to whatever color that I want. Since I have this really nice reference and the path kind of got me started on there, what I might want to do is utilize some of the features of being able to distort the images, in this case graphics, by manipulating them. I can move them and see how I can line it up. If I float my arrow outside the text box, you'll see that it turns into two little arrows, meaning that I can rotate this now. And since these letters are really distorted, it means I'm going to be okay with just clicking and stretching it so that it kind of matches. Again, and I can just kind of keep rotating it until I get it to the way I want. Now, these aren't going to be 100% accurate because I used a different font than what they used on the original. So I just want you to keep that in mind, that it's never going to look exactly like your reference in these tutorials because you didn't use the exact same circumstances. And so it just kind of becomes this sort of tweaking little thing. Now, you might notice that they're kind of stretching and distorting at these angles. And see how this guy is at a totally different angle. And even this end of the C is distorting a little bit too. Well, I'll show you how to fix that in a second as well. One way that you can do it is by going to the direct selection tool. And you'll see that when you float over it, it gives you your points. I can click on the point, and if I want it to match more accurately, then I can just drag the points to where they line up, specifically with the shape that's underneath. I'm just going to do this one letter just to kind of show you. It's gotten pretty good. However, I still got to do the counter as well. So you want to click on the point for the counter and be careful because sometimes there's more than one. I usually drag it a little to the outside so that I can kind of see where my shape goes. This is more of a square shape, so I can move both of these at the same time. That's about it. And that's one way that I can manipulate the shapes even further when they start to distort. And it's by manipulating the individual points because I've created the text to outlines. Again, you can keep tweaking it how you see fit for whatever your design is supposed to be. But if you've got a good reference and you follow the reference well, then you're basically recreating what you see on the reference. Like so. So if I want to adjust that C further, then I would do the same thing. Click on my points, I'm going to adjust them. They start matching up to what I want. With curves, however, you got to be careful that you maintain the curve. You don't want your lines to get too bumpy. So that means that when you're adjusting these curved ones as well, you have to make sure that you're doing it proportionately and that you're also adjusting the arch so that it doesn't look too bumpy when you do it. Sometimes I'll actually delete points even though it's created into outlines so that it can be a smoother line. And I may wind up deleting a lot of these points so that it can become a smoother line. Alright, so I'm not going to do this whole thing, because I just wanted to kind of show you really roughly about how it works when once you create something to outlines and then you do compound paths and the Pathfinder tool, that you can then manipulate it through stretching and rotation and manipulating the individual points of your new graphic.